My name is Carl Gilliard, and welcome to my first podcast. You know, my daughter, Corinne, she works in the podcast industry. She's been saying to me, Dad, you should do a podcast. Dad, you should do a podcast because, you know, she thinks I talk too much. And she could be right. But the point is I didn't listen to podcasts. I didn't even know what a podcast was. You know, I'm a 60s baby. You know, talk radio, the news, you know, a little red skeleton at night and some bowl of chili. I don't do podcasts, but now I'm doing a podcast because my daughter says I should be doing a podcast, and my daughter is brilliant. So today, I should tell you what the name of the podcast is. It's called How Do I Know You? And How Do I Know You is a show where I talk to friends who I'm sure you've seen somewhere on television, on the stage, in motion pictures. And we kick it about how we know each other, and then we talk about what they're doing, and they can talk about what they got coming up next. And I am so excited about my first guest. Now, I'm not going to tell you how long I've known this brother, but it's a very long time. And I'm honored to have this brother with me today on my first podcast, on my Training Wheels podcast program. You've seen this brother on Treme. You've seen him on Into the Badlands. You've seen him on multiple motion pictures. And right now, this guy is making me want to quit acting, okay? He's doing a solo show playing August Wilson. And I want him to talk about that as well. So without further ado, my brother, Lance Nichols. Okay, Lance Nichols, bring you in. Here we go. There you are.
Hey, y'all. Yeah.
I did it.
I was over here with my fingers crossed going, please make this work. Please make it.
Yes, indeed. So, you know, Lance, we've known each other a long time. How many years? Because you're better at math than I am. How many years?
Let's see. When we used to make those trips down to San Diego, you're talking about like the mid-90s, man.
Yeah.
Early mid-90s. When we used to go down there to the auditions in San Diego, because of what I remember, both Corinne and your son, they were little, man. And we used to pick them up from school, stop at McDonald's, eat on the back seat. We drive down to San Diego.
That's right. We sure did. And not only the San Diego deal, but I remember meeting you, though. Obviously, we knew each other before we started going to San Diego together. But I remember seeing you in many a waiting room and auditions in LA back in the 90s.
Absolutely, yeah.
Every time
all of us of the same type in age group. We all used to audition for the same stuff, man. You know,
absolutely.
From the lightest brother to the jet black brother, we just bring all these brothers in.
That's what we did, brother, man. But you know what? It was all love. And it was all love, and we had a great community, and we still do, actually. Even though we're kind of spread out around the country and doing different things, you know, we still have the same tribe of brothers. We still love each other. We still support each other. And that's why I'm so glad you're here. That I can talk to you about what you're doing, because you're doing some amazing work right now. And I want you to talk about, I'm going to start with that, actually, and work our way back. So you're playing August Wilson in a solo show.
Yes, I am.
I learned what I learned?
Yeah, August wrote this play, and I never heard of this play before this opportunity came to me. August wrote this play in the early 2000s, and he was the first one to actually perform it,
right?
In 2003, and then subsequently, shortly after that, August started having some health issues, and then the first actor to actually do the show was Ruben Santiago Hudson. Ruben did it in 2006 off Broadway, but there's been very few productions of this autobiographical piece that August wrote, very few. And so when this opportunity came my way, to show you how God works, man, and what I'm about to tell you will come as no surprise to you. So initially they reached out to a mutual friend of mine, Roger Guinevere Smith, and I know you know Roger very well.
I do. Who doesn't know Roger?
Yeah, who doesn't know Roger, right? Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah. Legally and illegally, but that's another topic.
Right.
They reached out to Roger, and Roger's schedule wouldn't allow him to do it. But when he found out that this was going to be a co-production between Portland Stage and La Petite Theater in New Orleans,
Right.
he said, "Well, he said, my friend Lance Nichols is down there. Why don't you reach out to him?" So the artistic director at La Petite sent me an email, told me when it was, when the show in Portland was, when the show here was. I said, "Well, let me read a script." He sent me the script, Carl, and just blew me away, man. You know, I've done 2 of August Wilson's plays. I did in 2020, I did Piano Lesson. And then back in 2010, I did King Hedley II. So I was familiar with August's style and his writing, but this is on a whole nother level. I really thought I knew August Wilson prior to doing this show. But August always seemed like this sort of mythical person that, you know, playwright. But doing the research on this show and doing this show has really humanized August for me. And now I have a much deeper appreciation of the brothers, not just his work, man, but his life and everything that he went through to become not only the playwright that he was, but the man that he was, man. It's a fascinating piece of theater.
Well, you know, what I love about what you're doing is you're bringing August Wilson to 2023. A lot of you know, the millennials and the young people don't really know who August was, and who he's really, you know, the black Shakespeare. He's our Shakespeare.
Yes.
Right. So you're bringing something that the black folk, the young black folk, need to hear about. The young millennials, the young, you know, hip hopsters. Is that what you would call them? The young hip hopsters.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, what I'm saying is that that's some serious work you're doing. So let's talk about the show for a minute in your preparation. So you told me this show was on an hour, 2 hours and 5 minutes.
No, it's an hour and a half on stage,
Okay.
nonstop,
right,
from beginning to end.
No intermission.
No intermission, brother. It's just me, myself, and I, Carl. And I don't mean De La Soul either, brother. It's just me, myself, and I up there, man. So, you know, if I go blank, I better do something. I better start tap dancing, singing karaoke or something, bro.
Right.
But in all seriousness, you know, when the script was sent to me and I start reading it, and of course, you know how August writes, man.
Right,
and I'm like, oh my God, look at these speeches. And I said, but you know what? This is exactly what I need, because sometimes as artists, we get into what I call a comfort zone. And, you know, I won't say we mail it in, but we're doing material that really does not challenge us artistically. And I felt like that's where I was in terms of my film and TV career. I felt like I wasn't being challenged, and I didn't like that feeling at all, man. And so one day in prayer, I said, man, God, please send me something that will challenge me. And God said, oh, that ain't no problem, brother. I'm going to send it to you right now. You know, that's what I tell people. Be careful what you ask God for, because he will give it to you.
He sure will.
But it's been what it has done for me, Carl. It has energized me, and it has taken my art to a whole new level. A whole new level. And I don't know any other way to explain that to you, man.
Because, you know what? You know, as a fellow thespian, and not knowing intimately the work you're doing, but certainly the way you're describing it, and what I know about August Wilson's work, period, and a solo show for any actor is an undertaking. So, you know, you're coming in and, you know, so let's talk about your process. Okay. So what was that like, learning all of that material for this show? Because had you done a solo shows before?
I'd never done a solo show before. The first thing I did was when the deal was sealed, I started doing some research on August, just myself.
Right.
And I found out some things that I didn't know. Number one, I had no idea that the brother's birth name was not August Wilson.
What is
it? His birth name was Frederick Kittel, Kittel.
Frederick Kittel?
His father was German. His mother was African American.
Okay.
And how he legally changed his name to August Wilson, I think sometime in the 1980s. His middle name was August. He took his middle name and his mother's maiden name, which was Wilson, and then legally changed his name from Frederick Kittel to August Wilson. I didn't know that. That gave me a completely different understanding of what it was like to be in a biracial family in the 50s, brother. in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Yeah, Jim Crow was going on in Pittsburgh too. You know, I know a lot of people don't think it was. Then the other thing I didn't realize, August quit school when he was 15 years old.
Really? So, did he go back? Did he go back to school? He must have.
Well, let me tell you what happened. He quit school because he had turned in a report that was given to him, an assignment, and the teacher accused him of plagiarism. And he was so offended that he was accused of stealing someone's work. He quit school, unbeknownst to his mother. He would leave the house every morning with his books and go to the library, and he started just reading. And that's how he taught himself. Between what he learned in the library and what he learned on the streets, that's who made August Wilson what he was. I had no idea.
He never had any college or postgraduate education?
None.
See, I didn't know that. I probably should know that.
Look, man, I'm finding out stuff like, oh my God, this dude dropped out of school when he was 15. I mean, you think about how this man wrote.
Yeah.
And you wonder, how could someone who had very little formal education write like this?
It's incredible.
You know, and be so prolific in his writing. Not just writing, but prolific in his writing. So that was my start. So when I got to Portland, the director is a sister named Jade King Carroll, young sister, but who was a August Wilson dramaturg, and who had actually dramaturged 8 of his 10 plays.
Okay.
She's like a savant, bro. She's like an August Wilson savant. This young lady knows everything. And so between what she knew and what I brought to the table, we were able to create something. And the thing that I love about Jade is the first day of rehearsal, she said to me, she says, how do you see this show? Or how do you want to approach this? I said, I don't know yet. I want us to discover together. Because to me, that's where the magic happens, when you make that discovery together, man.
Exactly.
And from start to finish, from the first day of rehearsal, which was February 10th, till the first day of tech, which I think was February 24th, we basically had 19 days of rehearsal to put the show together, which is not a lot.
No.
For a one-person show. It's not a lot. But, I either, I had to, with that expression, S or get off the pot.
Right.
And so I chose to stay on the pot.
Right.
And it's just been so rewarding. And I will share something with you and the people listening. The artistic director of Portland Stage, Anita Stewart, went to school with August Wilson, went to college with August Wilson's widow, Constanza Romero.
Right.
And there were many times in rehearsal, and especially when we got into tech rehearsal and I was actually on stage and in wardrobe, Anita used to tell me, the resemblance between you and August is striking. She said, and I have to tell you, it's not just the physical resemblance, but you've captured the man's essence. And all I could say was, that ain't me. That's who that goes to.
Hey, you know what though? I'm sure you did. But did you look at any interviews with August?
I looked at a couple of interviews. One that he did with Ed Bradley on 60 Minutes, which is a very famous interview. It was a 60-minute interview. I looked at that. And then a couple that he did at the Kennedy Center. But I didn't look at too many because I wasn't trying to imitate the man.
No, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
There's a story. In fact, I just posted this interview that Spike Lee did with Denzel Washington when he did Malcolm X. And what was poignant to me about that interview was at the same time that they shot Malcolm X, or around the time that they completed it, around that time, I read the same basic sentiment from Denzel about how we came to capture the essence of the man who was Malcolm X, who, you look at the film, you say, oh my God, he captured Malcolm's essence. But Denzel, according to the interview, he, looked at tape on Malcolm and he was trying to kind of, imitate him, and then he kept hitting walls. And he decided just to go at it organically, and like you're talking about, and just capture the spirit and find the truth of Malcolm's spirit within himself and just play it like any actor. And as a result, people thought they were looking at Malcolm X.
Absolutely.
And I was playing a real life character at the time. I was doing a play in San Diego at the time where I was playing, are you ready for this? I was playing Clarence Thomas
Ooh.
in a play called Unquestioned Integrity at the Gaslamp Theater in
Downtown San Diego, right?
downtown San Diego.
Yes.
And it was a 3-person play, and the entire play was the actual dialogue from the hearings
With Anita.
with Anita
Yeah,
Hill. So it was
exactly right.
Clarence Thomas, Anita Hill, and then there was a composite character that was the senators. And so there was a lot of words. It wasn't a solo show, but it's a lot of words. And people will say to me after the show, "Oh my God, you captured the essence of Clarence Thomas." I don't like the man. I like you. I mean, because that's what I went for. Because I did all this research on Clarence. I took his statement, read interviews about what his take was on the trial, and I've just played some of those core ingredients of indignance and offense, and insult, and found those seed elements of that inside me and played it. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had.
It's interesting that you should say that, because the young lady who was a reporter at the local Portland Herald Press, which is a local newspaper, we had a pre-show interview, and she asked me, she says, "Well, how do you intend to play August Wilson? Are you going to try to imitate him?" I said, "No, that would be a disservice to him and to me." I said, "I don't have to." I said, "All I have to do is just be truthful to what the man wrote. The words are there." I said, "The story will tell itself." And that's what I hope I've done, man. I mean, I had, I had several people commented on the show and my performance, but the one that really stuck out to me, Carl, was my wife flew up to see the play. And so she was there on opening night, which was March 3rd. And afterwards, she came to the dressing room, and she had this look on her face like I'd never seen it. We've been together 43 years, bro.
We're going to get to that in a second. I'm glad.
And she said, she said, "I've seen your work over the past 42 years. She said, "and it's always stellar." She said, "But Lance," she said, "you weren't there." She said, "From the moment you walked on stage, I saw no traces of you." She said, "I felt like I was watching August Wilson." She says, and I've never met the man. She said, "But I can tell you, you were not there." And I burst into tears, bro. Literally.
Wow.
Literally. I mean,
and she would know.
Yeah, someone that you've been with that long, your friends and stuff, they don't know all your little idiosyncrasies and stuff. But this is a woman that I've been with since 1980, man. And for her to say that to me, and my wife is not one to pull your chain. That's not her. She's just straight up. And that meant more to me than any review or any critic or any other comment I could ever get.
Yes, indeed. So let's go back here for a second. How were the houses that you worked with?
They were, the average age of theater goers in Portland, Maine is 55 and up. So they were older. And as a result, because they were older, the night shows were light. I mean, that theater set, I think, 240. And the biggest night crowd we ever had was maybe 85 people. But the matinees, which were on Sundays and Saturdays, we would have half house. We'd have like 160 to 180. So I never played till full house, but I don't adjust my performance for 180, bro. If I'm gonna tell the truth, I'm gonna tell the truth every night, every performance. But I'm excited about doing this here in front of my folks, bro. Because
now, how did that happen? Was that because they knew you were from New Orleans and they wanted to take it there, or was it just coincidence?
Those two theaters, this was a show they decided to co-produce. So that was already in place. But they wanted to use the same actor. They didn't want to cast someone to do it in Portland and then have to cast someone different to do it in New Orleans. So as I said, when they reached out to Roger, and Roger said, "Well, I could probably do the New Orleans gig, but I don't want to be in Portland for 6 weeks away from my kids." That's when he threw them my name. And since I'm here, the fit was perfect.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's how it came about.
So are there any plans beyond New Orleans?
I have heard, and I'm trying to get this confirmed, but I have heard that Constanza Romero, who is August's widow, is trying to get the show to Broadway.
Oh.
That's what I've heard. And I sent a really nice note to her. And I do know that some footage from the Portland show was sent to her too. And so I'm trying to see if I can get her down here to see the production down here.
Okay. Where does she live?
She lives in Seattle. Seattle,
okay.
where August was living at the time. She still lives in Seattle.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So can you see the board?
Oh, I see that beautiful woman that I'm standing next to. Oh yeah, I see that beautiful woman. Yeah.
Yeah. So 42 years.
43 this summer, brother. 43 this
goodness.
summer, man. Yeah, man. You know, when I met my wife, bro, I had an afro, I had a chest. Still have the chest, it just dropped down to the belly. But I have less hair now. But yeah, man, that's my wife for 42 years, brother.
Oh, she's a wonderful man. She's a wonderful woman, man. Let me tell you something. I just always have been amazed at how such average looking guys like yourself can get beautiful women like this.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. You look. I thank God every day, man. Because you know, if it was look, and let me tell you, I'll tell you, like, because I've seen Denzel say this in many interviews, and it resonates to me so much. He says, you know what? I'm the man that I am today because of God and Pauletta. I'm the man I am today because of me, because of God and my wife's artist. I said, because there were times in our 42 years that, in the words of Denzel, I gave her reason to leave me.
Ah, yeah, you know the famous Oscar speech. Was it?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And so I can relate to that, man. So a lot of what Denzel's talking about, I'm like, bruh, I'll second it. Pass the plate, bruh. I understand what you're saying, man. But you know, I had a woman who stuck by me, man, who through thick and thin, who always insisted in the best for me and would not accept anything less as a husband, as a father, and as an artist, and who with equal hand could be loving, but metaphorically would put a foot up my ass if I needed it, and sometimes literally. And I'm thankful for that, because I wouldn't be the person that I was today, bro.
You mean now you are, but at the time,
yes, I didn't. At the time I didn't. Of course not. At the time I didn't see that. But in retrospect, I'm thankful for it, because I am the person that I am today because of God and her working in tandem with me and molding me into the person that I am today, man.
Well, you know, we've had this talk before, you know, and through my various marital exploits. But what I love about your story is what I tell folk all the time. To your point about Denzel, his sentiment about, you know, she should have left him a long time ago, and he gave her reason to leave, but she didn't leave. You know, when I talk to couples now, single and married, you know, who are unhappy, who want to leave, who are married, you know, I say, hey, you know, I don't know what's going on. I can't be in your shoes to experience what you're experiencing. But I do know that people who have the successful marriages that you have, you know, that Denzel has, and that I have now for a shorter period of time, they all go through the same things that divorced folk go through. It's not any difference. There's no difference. You know, people think that, you know, oh, this miserable situation is the worst thing ever, and I had to leave because I'm not happy. I mean, if you were by yourself, you might be unhappy too, right?
Right.
So Zardis said, you know, I got to put a foot in his ass. I may not be happy with him today, and this is really tough, but I believe in what I promised God that I would do, and I know that God will deliver, you know, the ultimate testimony, and that's what you guys have today, right?
Yeah, and one of the things that never left, even in times when we had challenges in our marriage, and most of them early on, when our kids were younger, they were financial challenges, man. Because you know, she had the regular job, I had those in and out jobs, man, and I was trying to make this thing work, being an actor and everything. But one thing that never left was the unconditional love we have for one another.
Right.
That never left. So even at times when we disagreed or we had arguments, we knew that the love was always there. And it never was a situation where, well, you know, I ain't feeling you no more. I ain't in love with you no more. You know, it might have been like, bruh, you know, get your S together, man. But, you know, I don't know how much longer I can be at this job, but it never was, I don't love you. I don't want to be with you. It never was that. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does make sense. I saw a post today, and the person was commenting on something like what you're saying in terms of no matter what difficulty emerged from a situation or even a string of situations over a period of time, there was never any doubt that that person was not going to be there, that they were going to leave or that didn't love each other anymore, and I think that's what I have right now with my wife. I'm not experiencing any tough times that I experienced in some of my past situations, but it hasn't always been totally rosy, but there's never a time that I doubt whether my wife loves me or that she doubts that I love her. We don't have those kinds of experiences, and
Right.
I think that's really, it's like a decision. And I always say that love is an action word. It's a verb. It is not how you feel. You can feel love. You have this amorous feeling, but ultimately love that is real love has a behavior attached to it and it's intentional, right?
True.
So that's kind of what I perceive that you saying that Zardis, how she feels about you, and I know you feel about her, and that is a wonderful thing to not just experience for you guys, but also to project out to the world that needs to see it,
When we moved back here in 2002, and the story why we moved back to take care of elderly parents. I told her when we moved back here, you never have to work another day in your life, because for a good 10 to 15 years, she was the primary financial support of the family.
How long?
I would say a good 10, 15 years of the first 10, 15 years of our marriage. She was the primary financial support. I always had jobs, but she was the primary financial support. And so I know she stayed on a job way longer than she wanted to, Carl.
Yeah.
So when we moved back here in 2002, I told her, I said, you never have to work again. And she has not had a job since 2002. And I told her, your job is to take care of me.
Wow. I want to be like you. Well, I'm telling you something, man. Right now in Atlanta, my wife and I, we're building a business, but, I'm the hustle master, basically. But that's, you know what I mean by the hustle master.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I know.
So it's the same way, my wife worked a job in LA, but it was a kind of a survival job that she didn't like very much. And so she's not going to be going back to that here in Atlanta.
Good.
Yeah. So I want to run some things by you real quick, and I want you to tell me, kind of exactly what your thoughts are when you see the image. Okay.
Go.
I messed up. So you know what? I'm telling you something. Here it is. Here it is. Come on, one more time. Okay. Hold on. All right, here we go. Here we go. So when you see this is one of my favorite pictures of you, one of your characters, if I can find it in this. Really? Come on. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is.
Oh, River King. River King. Look, man, when I got cast in this role and I went to the wardrobe fitting and they showed me the sketch of my look, I said, this is Jimi Hendrix if he was alive right now.
Oh, I love it.
And then they showed me the wig that I was going to wear, and then the long
That's a wig? That's a wig?
Bro. Man, my hair been like that since the 70s. Come on, Carl. Come on, bro. That's a wig. That's an Afro wig. That's my real sideburns, because they asked me to grow my sideburns in. But that character, let me tell you about this character. Out of all the characters I've ever played, and I always get comments either on social media, great job, whatever. I don't know what it was about this character, but this character here stirred something up in females.
Is that right?
Oh, man. I'm talking about even females that are friends of mine. They were like emailing me and texting me and sending me stuff in IG like, ooh, I ain't never seen you like this. I'm like, calm the F down. You're married. I don't know. There was something about this character, man. I've never gotten that kind of visceral response, particularly from females, on any other character I ever played except this one, the River King. And
I think I saw an episode. Is this the show that Sherman Augustus is in?
Yes, Sherman's in it. Yes, because I met Sherman in season 3. I met Sherman in season 3 when I went to Ireland, because they shot season 1 here in New Orleans. And then season 2, they moved the show to Dublin, Ireland. They didn't bring me back for season 2, but they brought me back for season 3. And so I went to Ireland for 2 months. And that's where I met Sherman. Good brother.
He's a great brother and terrific actor. Did you do scenes with him?
We never had any scenes together. The first and only time I ever saw him was at the rap party for that season. I went up to him. He came up to me and introduced himself, and we started talking. And that was the first time. But I saw his work. His work was fabulous on the show.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have a confessional moment here. I'm going to confess something to you, Mr. August Wilson.
All right.
So, I'm teaching an acting class here in Atlanta.
Yes.
And it's going great, by the way. We got about 13 14 students. And
I've been told you should have done that as soon as you got there. So
it's going pretty good, man. I had Mike Beach out last night talking to the people. And Mike just lit that room up. In fact, he talked a lot longer than I usually have the guests talk. So we didn't do as much scene work last night. But man, it was incredible. But here, two of my students are doing an August Wilson scene from Fences. And I had to confess to them that I have never done an August Wilson play.
A lot of people haven't, bro. I mean, I know it was a while for. I think I did my first one in 2010, and then I didn't do my next one until 2020. So you're probably not the only brother or sister in that boat who has never done.
The good news is because of the canon of August's plays, I'm not aging out of his plays. I mean, I can still do an August Wilson piece. So I'm saying this to you in front of the entire podcast world. On this, my first How Do I Know You podcast with Lance Nichols, who was playing August Wilson, and how I learned what I learned, that I, Carl Gilliard, before my days are numbered, God willing, will do an August Wilson play.
Get in touch with Kenny Leon, bro. Kenny's directed a lot of August's plays. I think he's right there in Atlanta.
He lives here?
I think he does. He's there a lot.
Well, I know, I just went to see Soldiers play here.
Yeah.
I just saw that.
Yeah, Kenny's there a lot, man, because he's directed several of August's pieces.
Okay. Well, you know what? I don't know Kenny Leon, but I'll look out for that. There's a theater here called the Alliance Theater that I believe that he used to run.
Yes. In fact, I know for a fact he's directed several of August's plays there. I don't know which ones, but I know he's done several of August's plays at the Alliance there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, one thing I've noticed as I've been here in Atlanta, there are a few theaters. I mean, since I've been here, they've done Raisin in the Sun. They did, Home. It's at Home, Raisin in the Sun, Home, and then I think I saw they were doing Fences here.
Okay.
So there's a few theaters out here doing some quality stuff.
Right.
Sam Martin Williams, that's who wrote Home. That's what it is.
Okay. Yes. Sam Martin Williams. Yeah. Yes. Great.
So yeah, man. So it's been such a pleasure to have you, brother. You're back at home, I guess, right now, right?
I'm home back here in New Orleans. I think I start rehearsals in about a week. Picking up rehearsals. Same director, same design team. They're shipping my wardrobe from Portland down here, so I'll be wearing the same wardrobe. And I'm excited, man. I mean, I have not been this excited about performing in a long time. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Did you have any changes in costume? I guess you didn't. You just were on stage all the time.
There's a change in coat and a hat. That's it.
Okay.
Other than that, he's in the same wardrobe for the entire play.
Do you play any other characters?
Because in his story, he first of all, he tells 27 different stories in an hour and a half. And there are probably 15 other characters that are introduced. And so I made a choice along with the director. Well, I proposed to her in the first year rehearsal. I said, look, I would like to give some of these characters that August talks about that he had interactions with, particularly when they talk, I'd like to give them their own voice.
Nice.
And their own physicality. And the director said, well, let's play with that. And so we did. And so I think I picked like 6 characters to give them their own specific voice and their own physicality.
Okay, nice. That is a true exercise in thespiandom.
It is. It is, brother. Look, man, I wish there's some kind of way that you and LaTanya could come see this, brother. I mean, I'm going to Costa Rica. And yes, I know.
You're doing this at the end of April, correct?
April 20th through May 7th. Yeah.
So that window for us would have to be that last week in April. I will let you know.
Okay.
The hustle is real
No,
right
I
now.
understand.
But I will let you know.
Look, well,
Because
I got no problem. I'll put up a GoFundMe for you, bro, so you can come here, man. No
hey,
problem whatsoever. Go
hey,
fund my brother so he can get him here.
it's funny. My wife, has been on me about coming to New Orleans forever.
I know
And
you
what a
told me.
great reason to come there than to see you in this great play. So let's see what happens, man. You never know.
Yeah,
You never know. Ain't it over?
I'm looking forward to coming there to Atlanta to work. Man, the last time I was there was last summer. I shot a limited series for AMC called Damascus with Martin Lawrence and Janet Hubert, and I played Len Whitfield's husband.
Oh wait, I saw the picture. Is that out yet?
Someone sent me something a couple of months ago saying that AMC had dropped the show, man. That it was a show that they weren't going to go with. So I don't know what's happening now.
Okay, one of those lost
I
files.
don't know. But I will share this. When I mentioned to my fellow other brothers that I was playing Len Whitfield's husband, man, you should have seen the comments I got, bro. They all wanted to step in my shoes, Carl. I'm like, nah, the role's been cast, bro. The role's
hilarious.
But Len was great to work with. She's from Louisiana. She's from Baton Rouge, and we just hit it off real well, man.
She's fabulous. She's absolutely fabulous. That must have been great. So you played her husband?
I played her husband.
Were you on Treme? Whose husband you played on Treme? Was it
Andy Alexander? Another strong woman. Right, another strong woman.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I've had 42 years of practice for that role with this woman got in the house here, bro. 42. I had practice. I never will forget. At the callback for Treme, I read the scene, and then when I finished, David Simon, who was one of the co-creators of Treme, also did The Wire. He said, "Okay, well, let's go over this again." He said, "But I want you to understand, your wife is a very strong-willed woman, so you can't be demanding. You got to know how to negotiate. You know what I mean by that?"
Yeah.
I said, "Bro, I've been married 30 years. What do you mean? Now you have to tell me nothing about that." And everybody just kind of laughed in the room. But in all seriousness, Candy's character was very similar. Had a lot of the same traits that my wife does. Sweet as pie, but will get in your, you know what, if she needs to.
Sounds like a black woman thing to me.
Yeah. So I'm like,
a good black woman. Because a good black woman have both sides of that coin.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Saying, it all depends on what you want. I can give you this, so I can give you that. It all depends on how you act. You tell me.
Your choice. What you gonna do?
Your choice. Yeah. Do you want what's behind door number 1 or number 2? It's your choice, bro.
It's your choice, and the response is based upon what you do.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So, but that we're working on that show for 4 years, working with Candy, and then also got to work with Wendell Pierce during that time because our storylines overlap, and of course, Wendell and I are good friends, man. And I got to work with Anthony Hemingway because Anthony directed several episodes, and he was also supervising producer on Treme. So, I mean, I got to work with some great people, man. I've had a wonderful, blessed career, and I will say this because I know we're trying to keep this under 40 minutes. When my wife and I made the choice to move back here in 2002 to help take care of my dad and her mother, and I made the announcement in LA, I sent out the picture postcards with my picture on one side and on the back, thanking everybody, telling the industry I was leaving LA to move back home and thanking them. And then people were like, "Well, what you gonna do about your career?" And here's what I said. I said, "I don't know. But one thing I will do is I'm going to trust God, because right now my mom needs help with my dad, and my wife's sister needs help with their mother." The other half of the people said, "Have people tell me what you can do about your career." The other half said, "Watch that God's going to bless you." So we moved back here in 2002. Within the first month of us moving back here, both my father and my mother-in-law were diagnosed with advanced dementia. So now we're dealing with that simultaneously.
Right.
Wouldn't trade that for anything. 2005, Katrina hits. Was able to get my family out in time. We went back to LA for 14 months until we moved.
I remember that.
Yeah. I was back in LA for a little over a year. Came back in November of 2006. First project that I shot back here was a little movie that maybe your listening audience may have heard of, called The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Yes, you played the preacher in that. You were excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember
that 2 minutes and 47 seconds of screen time, and I know because I've seen it many times. That 2 minutes and 47 seconds of screen time completely changed the trajectory of my career. And from that on, man, I have not looked back. And so people say, see, God blessed you. I said, well, I said, yeah. I said, but the blessing for me and for my wife was to be able to come back here and spend whatever remaining days we had with our parents. That was the blessing. The career was the gravy.
And you know, it's because your priorities were in line, and God honors that. He honors the way that you have that you honored your family, that you honor him first, and how you honored your family, and then God just gave you the rest. And the gravy, as you put it, is on top of it. And that's a testimony right there, brother. And I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. Well, I tell that because a lot of times people go, well, yeah, what am I gonna do about career? What am I gonna do about career? And I always tell them, well, do you serve a God of plenty or a God of lack? Because I serve a God of plenty. And if you serve a God of plenty, the pie is big enough for everybody to have not just one slice, but numerous slices.
Yep.
And you know, and I know you know that to be true.
Yes, I do.
So I don't, you know, if I send in an audition tape and I don't get it, let's just move on to the next one. That one didn't have my name on it. I'm
That's
good
right.
with that.
I feel the same way though. And you know, at this point in our career, I mean, I have to get half the auditions that I've done. Even when I get calls saying that I've been pinned or I booked, I'm like, what show was that again? Literally, because that's just where we are right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is.
Ours is ours.
It is. And one thing I would like to say, Carl, and I promise this will be the last thing. I always tell my students, because like you, I teach when I'm not performing. I tell my students, don't compare your journey with someone else's.
Right.
That was their journey. That's not your journey. You know, I'll share this quick story with you. So years ago, this is like early 80s, like 80, 81, when we were having live auditions, I was asked to go in and audition for a comedy. And the premise of the comedy, and as soon as I say this, you're going to know what movie I'm talking about. There's a young African-American man. His mother passes. And in going through her things, he comes across some pictures of her when she was in college. And there's quite a few pictures where she's kind of hugged up with a white guy.
Right.
And he subsequently suspects that this white guy is his dad, who he never met. So he goes on a search and he finds this white guy. And come to find out, this white guy is his dad. The movie was called Carbon Copy.
Oh, yeah. Denzel's first film.
I had 4 callbacks for that role. Michael Schultz was the director.
Yeah.
Didn't get it. So I'm wondering, who got that role? Who got that role? You know, I'm like 25 at the time, thinking, you know, I'm in LA, you know, I'm the hot, you know what? So about a year later, the movie comes out and I go see the movie and I'm like, okay, this brother's good, but ain't no way he could be from no mixed relationship. How he got the role? So I'm feeling a certain kind of way, Carl. So then
he didn't look mixed, did he? He did not look mixed.
No, not at all, bro. So then, you know, so then, not too long after that, I'm watching a series called Saint Elsewhere. I'm like, this the same that got Carbon Copy. So I ain't gonna lie, and I want to say this because I've changed, and I want to say this. For the longest, it was difficult for me to watch Denzel's work and be objective about it because I was still feeling a certain kind of way that he got that initial role and I didn't. But at some point, I realized that's not my story to tell.
Yeah,
it was Denzel's story to tell.
Yeah,
my story's different. And so I tell people, don't say you want to be the next. No, you want to be you. You don't want to be the next so-and-so. You want to be the best that you can be. And I'll leave it at that.
My brother, that's a great gem to drop on your way out the door. Thank you for being here, Lance E. Nichols. Congratulations on How I Learned What I Learned. And I'm going to see the show somewhere. If I don't see it in New Orleans, I'm going to see it on Broadway, which is where it's going to go next, is where it should be.
And I say, why not me? If it goes to Broadway,
why not me? And this is your moment. This is your time. This is your story to tell.
Right.
That's right.
So any people out there listening, if you're down here in New Orleans, you're gonna be near New Orleans between April 20th and May 7th. Please come and see the show. How I Learned What I Learned at La Petite Theater here in the French Quarter.
Thank you, Lance. I'm gonna exit you out, man, and do this thing and do a little finishing touch on the show. But thank you, my brother. Let's talk soon.
Gotcha.
Lance Nichols, everybody. Ha ha! All right, you guys. So now you heard it.
All right.
Now you've heard it.
Yes.
Tell your story when it's your story to tell, and don't compare yourself with anybody else. That's my brother, Lance Nichols, 32-year friendship. I met him in Los Angeles back in the 90s. Peace out. Peace. Two fingers.